Okay, I'm going to show you how to sort out your data once it's imported. So once you've got your data imported from the NAT files, you then need to go through and just clean up some of it. Inevitably, what we find is that data that is imported contains errors or contains misunderstandings of how the AVETMISS data works. And once it's imported, you can see all of these become immediately obvious. So let me go in and just show you a few of the items that you might need to clean up. So if we click on Publish here, and then we click on Formats. You can see here we've got a whole lot of formats that have been imported. Now the formats contain the units of competency that are going to be covered by each student in each enrolment. They also are prepended, you see, by the year of the data that has been imported. So if you want to choose a good way to set up your system to be able to then move forward and take enrollments this year is to basically use the closest year that has the data that's accurate, which is usually the most recent year. So we're going to choose 2018. If I go into this by clicking on the edit button here, you'll be able to see the data that we've got. So we've imported some data around an HLT AID 001 course, a CPR course. I'm going to indicate the fact that I've started addressing this particular format by taking away the 2019. So effectively, anything that doesn't have 2019 is going to be a current a unit of competency to be working with. And you can see here I've got topics. So the first topic is actually the same as the second. You'll see that these are actually the same topics. So we only need one of these. We don't need to keep two of them going. But also notice that I've noticed something here with regards to the AVETMISS data, that YYNN, or sorry, NNYY, is actually related to the delivery mode identifier. And so the first N is related to internal delivery. Is it classroom based? The second N or field point is the external delivery, example online. And then finally is workplace based. Now note that internal delivery is about classroom delivery, external is online or remote delivery, and then workplace based is when you're actually doing conducting activities within the workplace. So they talk about the organization or the employer, workplace experience, field placement, fully on the job training, and structured workplace delivered at the place of employment. So this is not what we're doing here when it comes to a unit of competency for the CPR course. So we have to correct this information here. So we're going to do that by going into the course module. So it's not just about changing this information, it's about actually going into the course module. So click on the edit button for the course module. You'll see it says workplace based here. We need to adjust that, and we want to say that that is very likely going to be internal only. It'll be in a classroom, so it won't be online. It might be, it's possibly it's internal and external if you've got some online learning that people do. So you could select that one. That would be perfectly fine. In this case, I'm going to. And note also that we haven't got the subject flag selected. That should also be selected. We're talking about a unit of competency in this case. So the VEC flag is correct. Now I've got the combination correct. The subject identifier is correct, and this is not related to a program. It's a unit of competency only. So again, I'm going to modify the name here, get rid of the 2018 to show that I've made these modifications, and I'm going to change this. This is just for reference, really. I don't need this information in here. So I'm actually going to remove it. Okay, now click on Save. And in the case of the unit of competency below, just to ensure that I'm importing the data correctly, I'm actually going to, this is actually for 2018, so it's actually already been reported on, so I don't really have to make any changes. So I'm actually just going to remove this topic here, and there I've got my final version completed. I'll get rid of the topic name there, get rid of this. Now what I am going to do though is I am going to preface this with training. We do need to create separate units of competency, separate course modules. I'm going to go modify this one and do the same thing here. I'd like to keep all of the course modules representing the units consistent with the topics. And notice that the data we're going to use for the reporting when we do our AVETMISS files is this data here. Okay, so you don't have to worry about modifications to the name of the course module. This won't have an effect on the reporting. So I click on Save, and that'll update once I refresh this page. But I'm also going to put training there. And so if I click on save now, you can see here the changes that we've made. Oh, it's still got the 2018. Let's just make a modification to that. Oh, you know what has happened? It has been moved. So let's look at the provide CPR. Right at the end there, no doubt. There we go. That's the provide CPR unit of competency that I've just updated. I'm going to go into that particular format and I'm going to check to make sure the data is accurate. There we go. You can see we've got the training there. We've got training here. The reason I'm doing training, remember, is because for the other units, some of the other units of competency, I'm going to need to have a reference to RPLs or credit transfers. So recognition of prior learning or credit transfers. In this case, we're not going to have an RPL. I don't think you can do an RPL for a CPR. I think you basically just do the course as a refresher. Okay, so let's go back to the listing of formats here. I'm going to click on this formats icon here. I'm going to target this next course as well. Let's provide first aid. Click on the edit button. And again, you can see for some reason we've erroneously said this is not a classroom, not an online learning, but a workplace. Now, workplace, this doesn't make sense for this particular course to be a workplace-based course. So I'm going to remove the second one here. And I'm going to edit this course module, remove those items, remove the 2018 reference, make sure this says unit of competency, make sure this changes from workplace-based to internal and external. Click on save. That's been done there. I'm going to call this training as well. Make it clear that we're delivering training. It's not just a credit transfer or a recognition of prior learning. So copy that. I'm just going to make sure I've copied in the right information there. There we go. Click on save. Remove the reference to 2018. And remember, because I'm going to do this, it's going to appear differently in the list. So I've just copied that label there. Okay, so I've copied this information here because I'm going to want to search for that just to make sure things have changed as I expected. So I'm going to type in my label there, do a search. You can see that's the format there. Now you can see we've got the training, got the start date, end date, etc. So all the information we need. You don't have to worry about these other fields like topic description and trainer. They're not necessary. So click on back. Okay, so getting a list of the formats again. As we're working through them, we're just removing them. Now the next one here, this will be a bit different to the last two. If I click on the edit button here. Okay, so what I'm looking in this instance to do is I want to include both a unit of competency that is a recognition of prior learning, and I also want to include one that is basically a training version of that same unit of competency. So let's again remove this 2018 so we keep track of where we're up to. Now I'm going to remove, let's have a look here. I've got a few in here. You can see here that these are linked to a particular qualification, but I know in this instance we're not actually issuing these on a per qualification basis. These are issued on a per unit of competency basis, so not linked to a qualification in particular. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and clean this up. You can see here that I've got, for some reason I've got a double up here that I have to get rid of. Okay, so I'm going to remove, these are exactly the same, so I'm going to remove this by clicking on the X button. Now these are a bit different. You see this one here, this is going to be an RPL credit because it's a triple N. And triple N, if I go back to our listing here, this is the data that comes, the information that comes from train.gov.au and NCVR. You can see here that if we have three N's, this represents an RPL or a credit transfer. So we do want to keep one of these triple N's, and we've got a double up again for some reason. So what we need to do is we need to remove one of these from the format, and we're just going to stick with these two. And I'm going to fix this one up. So let's go in and again adjust the course module first. So we do the course module first. Click on the pencil there. Now I'm going to remove this program because it's not relevant to a program in this case. If yours is, then do link it to a program. And this is quite likely to be workplace-based. I'm going to leave it as that. This is an instance where you've got to make your choice as to which of these is appropriate. I'm going to leave this as workplace-based in case that's the correct one. And I'm going to remove the information up here and remove that information there. We're going to add that training, because this is the training portion. I'm going to copy that name, so just copy that name of this course module. I'm going to paste that in here. You can see it hasn't updated yet because I haven't saved it. I'll do that in a moment. And then in this case, I'm going to edit the course module. Okay, I'm going to remove that program because it's not relevant in this case. Leave this as RPL. Choose unit of competency in this case. And also, I'm going to add at the beginning here, RPL credit. Okay, and I'm going to remove the last bit of that name. That name just comes in as part of the import process, just to be able to uniquely identify each of the units of competency. Now I've made a change to that one. Now I'm going to make a change to this one. I'm just going to paste in. So I copied the name of the course module. Now I'm going to paste it in there. That's all looking pretty good. And what I've got to do now is I'm going to have to search for this again, because remember, as I save this, it will be resorted because it won't have the 2018 at the front of it. So click on save. You can see it's not coming up there, but if I type this into the label, click on filter, there we go. That's it there. I'm just going to make sure everything's right. That's the training portion. Now there is something that's a little bit different here. See, we've got day 1 and day 3. It doesn't really matter unless you're using the student portal. It's not going to really matter which day it's on. I'm just going to make it day 2 just to make it consistent, so it's in the correct order. I just like to keep things the same, and I can see that the RPL credits there. That's correct. That's correct. Now, interestingly, I can see that this unit is not the same as what's mentioned up there. Establish and maintain risk management systems. And this is advanced diploma in... Oh, this is because this is referencing the full qualification. So in this instance, we do have to make another change. I'm going to copy that. We're going to rename this. This is renamed to be relevant to the unit of competency. So let's see if we can save that. And we'll see if we can. Okay, so we've got 2 instances of that. Okay, so in this case, it looks like someone had, only one person, it looks like, was awarded that qualification, or not even awarded the qualification. They were given a unit that actually was related to that, that qualification. We're not going to need 2 of these. We only need 1. So in this case, this other format, we're not going to require it. I won't remove it though just yet, because I think that we may find that this unit of competency has been used elsewhere. So this is just an error in the data. So the data came in, one unit was related to a qualification, whereas it looks like most of the other students were not related to a qualification. So again, this is just a data error when the information's been brought into the system. So let's continue. I'm gonna name this. I'm gonna rename this though, just to make sure that we don't try and do this again. I'm going to write not used at the beginning of this, just to make sure that we don't mistakenly use the same format. So now I've actually effectively got formats with, we've got the same format set up twice, unfortunately. Again, like I say, it's mainly because the data's been imported and it hasn't quite been right. Let's click on save for that. And I'm just going to go back to the formats. Okay, so let's work on the next one. So in this case, we've got a triple N, which in this case will, of course, means an RPL or a credit transfer. We've got two of those in here. This has only been awarded as an RPL. Now we've got two instances. They're exactly the same. You can see we've got, I don't know why this is imported twice, but for some reason we've got this importing twice. It's the same unit of competency with the same delivery mode identifier, which is this one here. This is delivery mode identifier, not applicable, RPL or credit transfer. So let's remove one of these. Let's get rid of this one here. Now it would be good for us to have, let's just clean this one up to start with. Gotta remove this here. Now we could create an extra unit of competency. Let's see if we've got one available, which is a training related course module. There's only one created, so we would have to create a separate course module for that, so we can do that in a second. I'm just going to edit this one just to make sure we've updated it. And remember, we're doing RPL, credit, and just removing the last bit of that information. Again, no program, which is correct. This is the correct way to configure the system. Saying yes to unit of competency, and this is an RPL, so that's correct. So it's looking pretty good. And we will, let me just edit this again. I'm going to copy that name for the course module, and I'm going to put it in there for the topic name as well. Now, what we want to do is we really want to have a training session. In fact, ideally we'd have them in the correct order as well. The correct order, as I've done previously, is training and then the RPL after it. So remember, we need a separate RPL course module, separate RPL topic, because these have underlying different data related to. So I'm going to create it at the top here. I'm going to create it calling it training, as I've done previously. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to create, let's have a look, see if we can create a new RPL. Now at this point, I'm actually going to create, I'm going to move to a new tab. I'm going to hold the control key down on my keyboard, move to a new tab, and I'm going to go into the publish tab here, and then options. So you can see there we've still got our formats open over here. I'm going to go into options, going to go to course modules, and then just at the top here, I'm going to create another one. Remember, I've copied, so I'm going to add before this node. I've copied the name of the course module that we want, okay? And I'm going to use that unit to find the subject. And this is going to be, I'm just going to call it workplace-based. I think that's the standard one. I'll click on add, and now we've added that in. So I'll go back to this format. You can see it. You can see the training, communicate in the workplace there. Go back here. So in this case, I'm going to choose the training module now. That I'd say 1, 9, 2, 5, just to keep it consistent and allow it to be in order. If I get these out of order, I get a bit of an error saying you've got to have things in the correct order for them to work. So if now I click on save here, I'm going to copy this name so I can easily find this again, save, or I could even go into my history over here. You can see there, you can see here, everything's looking good now. We've got the training topic name, we've got the same course module, we've got the topic name for the RPL credit, the course module name for the RPL credit. If we want to, we can go in and just have a little look. This is workplace based, which is what we want. All that data looks good. And then down here, that's not applicable because it's RPL or credit transfer. That all looks good as well. So that's all set up correctly now. Okay, so we can go back to our formats and click on the next one. So we're going to do communicate information. I'll click on the pencil here. Okay, so you can see again this is an RPL, so majority of this is an RPL. Let's remove the beginning of the name just to keep it consistent. And let's edit. We only need, again, we only need one of these. We don't need the two that are there. So we've got two RPLs. Let's remove the first one. That means we won't have to change this day. So I'm going to remove this. Now I don't want to change the course modules that are already set up. I can only add. I don't want to make too many, unless I'm trying to fix the data because the data is incorrect. I don't want to change an existing course module to be a completely new course module. I don't want to change, for example, it from being a training related course module to an RPL or credit related course module, because that'll have an effect on the reporting of the data that's already been imported. Okay, so it's very important that we keep track of the changes that we make. If we're correcting data, that's fine. But if we want to create a new representation of a unit of competency, we have to add, not edit. Okay, so I'm going to click on the, I'm going to fix up this course module to start with by clicking on the edit button here. Again, great, it's not associated with a program, which is correct for this configuration. We're not allocating these in relationship to a program. We're doing individual units. Subject flag, and this is correct. It's a RPL, credit transfer. We're going to take rid of that. At the beginning of this, we're going to write RPL credit. Oh, put a question mark there by mistake. Okay, I'm going to copy that. Click on save. Paste that in there. Now I've got that copied in there, I can create a new one. So I'm going to click on add an entry. I'm going to add an entry to this because I want to, again, have a training representation and an RPL. And I'm going to paste that in there, change that to training. Let's add a course module. So again, we go back to the option tree, add one above here, click on add before this node, paste that in. Remember, this is the training one, so I've got to replace it with training. Let's get that unit down there, copy it into the subject, identifier. So I'm going to choose work-based only because this seems to be the method that these are being acquired. All this data can be maintained the same. I'll copy that one there, copy the name, click on add. And then I go back here, click on the course module. It hasn't added properly yet. Let's just go back and see what's going on. Oh, let's try again. Looks like it didn't like it. Don't know why that was. Let's try again. Close it. Just make sure it hasn't added already. Sometimes these things add in the background. You don't realize they've done it. No, it hasn't yet. Training. Make sure I've got the unit in there. Communicate information. Those place, etc. Click on add. Okay, now it's, oh, look at that. They did add in the end. What a shame. Just remove some of these. Obviously, there was a delay in the system. The internet was slowing down. Let's just make some of these inactive, ones that we've added that we didn't want. Got double ups, you see, so. Okay, cool. So looking for the training one, there we go. There's the training, perfect. And now remember, we need to put these in order, so I'm going to put this in day 1, change this to being 9 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and that's looking all good now. So we can click on save. And I copy that again, copy that name first so I can find it easily. Or of course you can go up here edit the last edited format. You can see here now we've got the RPL, so everything's looking pretty good. We've got the training unit set up there. We've got the RPL topic set up there, the RPL unit set up there. If I want to, I can go in and have a look at the details in here. That looks all correct, workplace based. RPL, unit competency, that looks good too. Okay, great. So that's all set up correctly. So let's go back to formats and do the next one. So you can see here, let's have a look. What have we got? We've got an NNY, which is workplace based. They're both NNY. So again, we don't need both of these. Let's get rid of them, get rid of one of them at least. Let's edit that one. Let's get rid of the fact that it says 2018. Get rid of that information. Let's put training at the beginning. Choose unit of competency. That was missing off the data there. Copy that, click on save. Replace this with training. Get rid of 2018 in the unit. Okay, so now we need to create that unit that is for RPL, for credit transfer. Again, I'm going to go back to my options. I'm actually going to rehash using one of these because I may as well. It hasn't been used yet, so I can do that. And so I'm just going to paste it in here. So this is RPL credit. Copy that. So I'm going to choose the RPL credit delivery mode identifier. Change, in this case, I'm going to change from inactive to active because I'm rehashing an old one that has not been used. You can see it there. Now if I go back to the formats, there we go, RPL, copy that, paste it in there, day 2, 9 to 5. It's looking pretty good. Looks like I've got all of that. So again, if I want to check this, you don't have to keep checking these each time. You can, for example, once you feel confident that it's all working as you expect, but it's just good to have an extra check. Always good to see if someone else can do a check for you. I'm there looking here, I've got an RPL, got training there, which is great. I can go and have a look. Workplace based, this means it's training, it's the right unit of competency. Go in here. Yes, it's the right unit of competency and it's RPL, which is great. That's everything that I wanted. And I can just click on save, that's good. Now I can go back and continue with my next format. So let's do 2 more of these and then I'll let you rip at it. So again, you can see both of these have been issued as units of competency that are RPL or credits only. Okay, so these are RPL credits only. We only need one of them, and we usually have it second, right? You notice I've been putting the training a course module first, and then the RPL course module later. So that's the sort of format that I'm trying to deliver on. So I'm going to get rid of this one for that reason, because these are the RPLs, and I'm going to go in and edit this RPL to tidy it up. Okay, so you can see there it's got RPL, course module. I'm going to remove those from there. I'm going to remove the 2018, but I'm going to say RPL credit. So we can clearly see what it includes. Click on save. Place that name. That's day 2. Let's do the training one as well. So this is going to be training. Now let's go back to our options over here at the top of the other tab. And we're going to rehash this one. Remember, this is the one that I created that magically appeared and has not been used. And because it hasn't been used, I can reuse it. Okay, if this has been used, then don't reuse it. Please don't do that. good. So that's workplace-based, which is what they've been to date. It's fine. Again, that might not necessarily be the right for you, but it is right in this case, I think. There we go, looking for the training portion. That's looking good. Again, we have to add in a date, time, date and a time. And I click on save. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my history, open up that last one I just edited, make sure it's, oh look, I didn't change that, so let's change the name of the format. So something I forgot to do. But then this is looking pretty good. I've got a training session there, a training session there, an RPL, and it's the same unit of competency. If I want to go in and just have a quick look, workplace-based training, unit of competency, that's great. And then in here, yes, it's the same thing here, RPL in this case, which is what we expected. Click on save, so that's been done. Let's go back to publish and then to formats. And then let's do the last one here. So again, I'm going to remove the name, the 2018 portion of that, to show that I've completed this work. This is, again, 2 RPLs. Remember, we're putting the training at the top and the RPL at the second. Remove this one, fix up this one, click on the edit button there. That's RPL, select unit of competency, which should be correct. That's looking good. Replace this with RPL credit. That's looking pretty good. Click on save. RPL credit. Get rid of that last bit there. Okay, so now we're going to add an additional unit, but it's going to be a training unit. So let's just copy that. Make sure we've got a copy of that. Go back to my other tab. Add before this node. Set one up. This is training, so I'm going to prepend it with training. Take that unit, put it into the subject identifier. This is training, workplace, so everything else is fine. Click on add. Go back here to the formats. Training, copy that, put it into the topic name, give the name day 1, start at 9, end at 5, and click on save. And let's just have a look at that one. There we go, that's looking pretty good. It's got the training and then the RPL, the training course module and the RPL course module, so it's looking pretty good. And then I go in here and I can see that's RPL for the second one, and it is workplace based only for the next one. So that's looking pretty good. Okay, so might be worthwhile thinking about whether or not the right delivery mode identifier is on there. Okay, so keep that in mind. You'll become pretty familiar with this after you've entered a few of these in. And then once you've created those course modules, the necessary course modules, and linked them to necessary formats and cleaned them up as a result of seeing that some of the data that was imported wasn't quite right, you're then going to be ready to link those, or maybe they're already linked to course masters. And if they are, then all you have to do then is start creating course dates and then enrolling students. So we're getting pretty close to having that completed. So that's about it. I won't bother going into any more detail. It's more than enough, I reckon. So enjoy.